Ayula, Queen Among Bears. And this time up against Sylvia Brightspear. This is one of the human dragon partner commanders, isn't it? Yeah, it partners with the dragon. Double strike 2-2. Dragons your team control have double strike. Not too sure how many white dragons there are, but clearly there's enough to make a mono white deck out of. Well, we've got plenty of bears in hand, which is actually pretty tough going in this deck. We'll get down a tap land to start things off. Yeah, there's a lot of bears in the older sets of Magic the Gathering that haven't been printed on Magic Online. So it's difficult to actually make an Ayula bear tribal deck when you don't have all the bears accessible to you. But we've been pretty lucky this time in getting into quite a few bears. And there is Denetha Capuchin Paragon. First strike, vigilance and lifelink, a 2-2. Aura and equipment spells you cast cost a generic less to cast. We're just going to top deck lands apparently. Let's go for that Spectral Bears. Do we want the Spectral Bears? No, I think we'll save that actually. Let's go for Grizzly and fight our opponent's commander. Alright, just going to do a bit of setting up here and put 2+ counters onto our Grizzly Bear. And then we're just going to pass like that. Gives our opponent a chance to take advantage of the 1 mana less to cast aura and equipments, but I think next turn we can go in for Spectral Bears and just straight up fight the Denetha. Or we maybe should have fought that when we had the chance, because down comes a Hammer of Nazan, and that is one hell of a card. So now that thing has indestructible. Hopefully we can get into removal for the Hammer of Nazan. Okay, Mortal Sun we're not close to yet, so let's just go in for our Goreclaw. We'll put some plus counters on the Goreclaw, because we're not going to mind swinging in with that next turn. And then we'll just have to leave it like that. An Adaptive Automaton, so maybe this is Human Tribal. No, Knight Tribal by the looks of it. So that gives Denetha +1/+1. And we can't profitably block there, so we will not bother. Okay, Kadama's Reach. I say we just go in for... Yeah, we'll get down the Spectral Bears here. And we'll fight that Adaptive Automaton. And then do we want Ashcolt Bear? No, I think we just cast that at the end of our opponent's turn. Go in with Goreclaw and Grizzly Bears. And creatures with power 4 or greater will gain trample and +1/+1 from the Goreclaw. They can block 2 of the damage here, but we're still going to come in for a lot of damage from our opponent. They might as well block anyway though, because their creature is indestructible. And they've been gaining a lot of life from that because it does have lifelink. So we're only knocking them down to 33. Well, there's a Sword of Vengeance. Really wishing I had fought the Denetha at the beginning of the game. That's what happens when you give your opponent an in. Now, I don't think I'm going to bother with the Spectral Bears attacking in, because if a defending player controls no black non-token permanents, it doesn't untap during the next untap step, so it is just going to freeze itself. We might as well just stop a bit of damage coming in here. And then it is Ashcolt Bear. And we'll put some plus counters on the Grizzly, because we're going for Immortal Sun next turn. And that is an Anthem for all of our stuff. I think we can go for a Nature's Law first, can't we? No, we're just on 6 mana exactly, so we can't go for the Nature's Law first. Let's get down the Immortal Sun. And then we can swing in with Goreclaw and Grizzly again. And perhaps instead of putting a lot of plus counters onto the Grizzly, I should have put them onto Ayula, because we could be going in for commander damage at this point. But my thinking there was to spread out the threats. If they have spot removal, I'd rather they put it onto a grizzly bear than our commander. But in hindsight, should have gone for the counters onto Ayula. A Light from Within, love the artwork on that. Each white creature you control gets +1/+1 for each mana symbol in its mana cost. That is just a +1/+1 anthem here. We're never going to bother swinging in with this, are we? So let's just block a little bit of damage here. And we're going to draw a couple of cards thanks to the Immortal Sun. Well, just a bunch of ramp in hand, unfortunately. At least we're less likely to draw lands if we go for all this. Now, thanks to that anthem from our opponent, we can't swing in anymore. Yeah, not going to swing in at our opponent because they're just gaining as much life as they're losing, if not more life than they're losing. Swinging in at us again, they might as well. We don't have any means of getting rid of that at the minute because of the indestructible from Hammer of Nizan, so we'll just block 2 of the damage. Okay, and there is a Sky Hunter Skirmisher, flying and double strike, so we really need to draw into something here. Well, there's Bearscape. Can we... I don't think we can get enough damage through. Let's just go in for Harrow. We'll get an Alpine Grizzly down. And we'll have to have a bear fight that Sky Hunter Skirmisher, because that will fly straight over for lethal next turn. And then I think we have to rely on this Bearscape, which is 2 mana, exile 2 cards from our graveyard to get a bear token. And that means that we can pile on a lot of plus counters onto the Goreclaw and potentially chump the Denether. And after that, maybe we can pile on a bunch of counters to Ayula and start going in for commander damage like we perhaps should have done earlier on in the game. We also should have killed off the Denether earlier on in the game, and we never would have had this issue. I did think about it, but I've had a couple of early scoopers. Another anthem from our opponent. Yeah, I've had a couple of early scoopers tonight during this recording session, and just giving someone half a chance to get into the game is sometimes the better way to get a recording. But certainly regretting not getting rid of the Denether now. Although maybe it has made for an interesting recording. Our opponent doesn't really seem to know how close this is. There's nothing to stop them just continuously swinging in to gain 8 life a turn. Let's make some bears and see if we can do something about this swinging in that our opponent's doing. 2 mana, exile 2 cards from our graveyard and make a bear. We'll put some plus counters on the Grizzly so that it can block. And then we'll just make some more for good measure. And we'll put 4 counters onto Ayula. Then the Grizzly Bears goes in at the Denether. Alright, Field of Ruin. Can we kill something off with Field of Ruin? It's a non-basic land we need to destroy with that. That's unfortunate. I was hoping to get that into the graveyard so that we can make another bear. We need 4 cards in the graveyard to make 2 bears. And our opponent scoops. How strange. Why are they scooping? No, that sounds a little bit salty. I hope it isn't. Don't know why our opponent scooped there. Our aim was to make another token and then put some more plus counters onto Ayula. Then we could have gotten down that Changeling Bear and put more counters onto Ayula, and then just be swinging in with the with the Gore Claw and Ayula for trample, and then we could have started to get commander damage off on our opponent. The screen has sent me to the lobby now, so I can't look at what cards we would have drawn into. But we were by no means guaranteed to win that one. I think we might have just been able to claw it back, if you'll pardon the pun, because, yeah, we were going to be able to start getting in commander damage on our opponent, and that was the potential game changer there. We were never going to reduce our opponent's life total down to 0. They were gaining a lot of life every time they blocked and every time they swing in. It was, at that point, I think it was 16 life that they were gaining each turn cycle, but should have gotten rid of the Denether on turn 2 or 3, whatever it was. That's what I thought I was going to do, but then realised that my opponent might scoop to that and just decided to go for the plus counter theme. Certainly wasn't expecting the Hammer of Nazan. That game was hinged entirely on the Hammer of Nazan, which just goes to show how good that card is. Anyway, hope you're all enjoying this Ayula Bear Tribal deck. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.